Hi there, this is a video on how to upload to the Beck scheduling dashboard from Synchro. So step one is really looking at your schedule and making sure that you have updated your schedule. And in this case, the date is set to July 22nd, of 2014. And at this point, we are going to export our schedule to MS Project XML. And then we're going to choose a location. And notice I'm placing in the 0915 update, even though the date is set to July 22nd. But this is to prove the test of how the dashboard works and how it is a great tool for you to utilize. Now at this point, you just go ahead and press next and export everything, and then let it do its job. And now you've successfully exported all of your activities, resources, values, etc. Now at this point, the question is, well, what do we do now? Well, what we're going to do is go ahead and go to the dashboard itself. And we're going to go to chronos.beckgroup.com. And then you're going to log in. And now you're at the Beck scheduling dashboard. So first things first, let's go ahead and create a new project. What do? You go up to New Project itself. And it's going to ask for your project ID. That'll be the CMIC ID that you have for your job number. Here I'm just going to type in okay. And the name of the schedule, I'm going to just name it test schedule. Now contract start and contract end date, you want to make sure that those are just whatever it is that you've signed up for with the owner. To know what that is, it might be easier to just revert back and look at your schedule. And overall, your contract start date might be 7/21 and your contract end date might be 6/25. Here, that's the last task that is finishing on 6/25. So we're going to go ahead and say 7/21 2014 to 6/25 15. And what's nice here is you can just choose the date by going into the project date start menu, and then the end date. We can zoom out even farther and choose 2015 and go to January or go to June. And then we can choose if this is design and construction. That would make it integrated. And what type. And in this case, it's going to be, we'll go ahead and just say corporate. You can go ahead and type in an address if you want. Highly suggest it. You can also place your own email if there really is just one. And then create. Alright, now on a project list, notice it says it's grayed out because there are unknown details. It knows that you're 57 days into the project itself. However, what we do not know is anything about the job. So we're going to go ahead and go to details. And this is the location where we're going to upload the XML file. So we'll go ahead and browse. And you'll browse for your folder. And remember, we placed it inside of this update. And there it is, there's the XML file. Go ahead and say open. And then upload. Notice on the side it already says scope of service integrated because you chose architecture and construction, and the project type is corporate, and project completion is 17%, or roughly around there. Now it successfully has processed the schedule, but it's giving me an uh-oh, because right now it was last updated on 7/22. Our last, yep, and the upload date is 9/16. So notice all is green except for the fact that it's been more than 30 days. Hence your project turns red. So that has to be known. If it's been more than 30 days since you've actually updated your schedule, your project will turn red, which means you do need to do an update. Going into these files, or these details, you'll notice all sorts of things that can be looked at. Has the schedule changed since the last upload? Yes or no? Activities complete. Every time you do a new upload, it's going to track the existing ones to see how you've been completing items and whatnot. But what's really nice is if you've got tasks that are missing company holidays, it'll tell you, hey, you're missing some things. And it might be, well, maybe it's Labor Day. Or maybe it's Christmas Eve, and no one's going to work on those days. So at that point, there's also this option to highlight on the Gantt chart where those things are. And if you notice here, all things that are yellow are things you need to focus on that deal with holidays. Missing company holiday, CD delivery. Problems, missing company holiday, footings and grade beams. Looks like you might be working over Thanksgiving. Is that right? Well, maybe, but let's make sure. You can also in here zoom in and out. But we're going to go back to the audit details. And notice there are more things. Activities missing successors, activities that should be driving something, but right now they're not. Well, what are those things? Here they are. And where do they live? Well, it's right here. The city review is a permitting activity, but it's not driving anything. So it probably should be driving something, and this permit itself may actually drive demolition. This permit might drive rough grading, which would end up pushing your project actually out farther past the end date, right? So very important to understand what activities are missing successors and predecessors. This is just an easy way to do a check. The nice thing is if you have two screens, you can have this on one page or one screen and your Synchro schedule on the other, making it a lot easier to review the schedule and make changes as needed. Over here, you can also comment. Maybe it's an elevator taking 40 days to order, so it's right here we're listing the number of activities that are longer than 20 days. Well, you may have some, but what are they and why are they? And then you just save your comments. And notice it says who made the note and at what time. Now, if you do notice, we're still red, but maybe we need to edit our job in Synchro. Now, just for the sake of it, I'm going to change the data date to today's date. Now it's obviously pushed out the entire schedule. If I were to go back, what would be best to do is baseline these tasks first, and maybe it's just that the job hasn't started. There's no reason or rhyme, it just has not started. But if we push out the schedule to today's date, you'll see a difference. Here is where we originally were planned to be, and here's where we're planned to be now. Now the end date has pushed out to 8/20/15. Well, if that's the case, maybe we need to edit the project. And this is where you contact somebody on the job who, maybe it's in operations or the leader of that project, can change the actual contract start and end dates. So in here, it would be 9/15, and then the end date would be July 20th, or August 20th, sorry. Then we're going to save changes. Alright, now we're going to go back into our job, but first we need to create a new XML file. So how do we do that? We go over to Pro, Export, Microsoft XML, and then we're going to browse for the location to be. And now, in the details of the schedule, we're going to go ahead and browse and add new. And if you notice, we have a revised XML file. And then we're going to upload it. And now you'll notice there is tracking that's involved. And what this is this is percent complete based on the upload to upload. Now nothing has changed, no items. All we did was push out the data date. We didn't actually start or finish anything. And now the audit score also itself is creating a track, is tracking. Originally we were at 100, now we're at 0. However, we're still missing activities that have company holidays and need to reconcile that before the project will actually turn green. That's it. And this is how you just back check yourself and slowly but surely fix those things.